I'm Lorna Kleidman, and this is Kettlebell Sport Basics. In this session, we're going to go over the swing clean, which is part of the long cycle, one of the three main Kettlebell Sport lifts. You can see that I'm wearing lifting shoes, which is highly advisable for long cycle and for jerk. And I'm wearing a long t-shirt that's slackened under a Kettlebell Sport lifting belt. This is not a lifting belt that you're going to see in the gym. This is specifically for Kettlebell Sport. Most lifting belts for Kettlebell Sport are a little bit wider at the top. This one tends to be a little more narrow, but there are many different styles. The point is to wear it on your hips, below your waist, and it's going to give you support for your back. And some of them are a little bit wider in the front, and you can literally rest your elbows in the rack into the belt. This one is actually lifting my abs up slightly, and it's giving me support anyway, even if I can't reach my elbows to the belt itself. When we go into long cycle or jerk, you can even use water on your shirt, and this will give you a little more traction in the rack. Single arm, it's going to be the same breathing as we did in the snatch, the 3 exhales. And the legs are still going to be buoyant. The knees extend in the backswing. You want to slip your hand through the handle quickly and get that handle on a diagonal so your hand and wrist can relax every time you come into the rack. Now notice that my arm is resting on my oblique. My hips are forward, the trunk is concave, and the back is wide to make room to rest this weight on the trunk. So if I do a swing clean and come here, it's fine, but it's going to be very difficult to bring that bell up into a press, push, press, jerk, because it's going to be all shoulder. Even if I have a little assistance from my legs, it's going to be very, very difficult. But if I come here and rest, then when we go into the push press or the jerk, you're going to launch it off of your body. So that's one bell. Let's go into 2 bells. Again, you can either turn the palms in, internal rotation if that's natural for you, or you can keep the corners of the bells facing out, whatever's better. Wider stance, 3 exhales. And again, my arms are resting into my body. The back is wide, hips are forward. Very comfortable position. When you bring those bells up to the rack, most people will cross the handles. This keeps the bells medial to your midline, and there's less effort to hold them in the rack. If you are holding here, it's going to be a lot of strain on your shoulders. So when you bring them up, ultimately you're going to be here, crossing the handles. And get your fingers out of the way as soon as you start to come up. Slip your hands through, get your fingers out of the way so you don't pinch them. You'll sometimes see larger gentlemen, if they have a real barrel chest or they're very large, then they have to hold here because they can't access this position. They hold here. And what they typically do is then they find their rest in the overhead jerk position, and they'll take a couple breaths with their arms overhead because it's more of a rest for them than it is in this wide rack. When you're bringing the bell into its backswing from the rack, like we discussed in snatch, you're not going to flex over with the bells. That's going to put a lot of load on your back. You're going to deflect just for a moment away from the bells and then flex over at the last moment. So it would look like this with 1 or 2 bells. Deflecting all right? And you're not throwing the bell away. You're opening the elbow angle and letting it spill from the side and then catching it in the crease of your fingers. Okay, those are the basics of your swing clean. Next session, we're going to go over the jerk. I'll see you then.